What's up, everybody? Give everybody some time to get in. What's going on, Shelly? Welcome, welcome. We're going to give everybody a little bit of time to get in here. Kind of last minute, I had to push it off, I'm sorry. What's up, Brittany? Guys, go invite everybody in, let them know that we're live now. Sorry, I had to push it off, had to go get baby formula. What's up, Myth the Matthews? Our new angel guy. How the Angels doing, Tyler? Alright, let's go pull some people in. We only got 3 people on in here. We'll get started in a couple of minutes. What's going on, everybody? Did you get any more angels today, Tyler? Jason Ball, what's up? Got a bunch to talk about. I'm going to try and cram everything in here in about a half hour. We'll see how it works. I got like 3 pages of notes. So this should be interesting. Just wait a couple more minutes. Trying to invite some people in. Bear with me for 1 second. Mr. Moses, what's up? I wanted to do this from the office today, but didn't get a chance to, so you guys are in my bedroom right now. And yes, I do have fish tanks in my bedroom. What's going on, Brandon? Just gonna hang out a couple more minutes, let some more people come in. My favorite Asian, Mr. Kevin. It's not that bad. It's pretty quiet. Plus the wife has like 4 fans going, so I don't hear them. Alright guys, just 1 more minute and then we'll get started. Just gonna keep the doors open for a couple more. See how many people we can get in here. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to do my hair. Just got in from work. No worries, Mo. Can everybody hear me okay? Everybody see me okay? It says I have full service, but who knows with this thing. Alright, Jason. Have fun. Alright, guys. We'll get started. Hopefully everybody catches in. Mr. Fritz himself. What's up, Andre? Guys, let's welcome Andre from Beantown Aquatics, Fish Freak's own personal sponsor. I don't know if you guys have seen that video that Andre posted today, but it is intense. Absolutely intense. The fish room that guy has is crazy. I think he's over 100 tanks now. He can fill you in, but if you guys haven't seen that video that Andre has up there, definitely check it out. If you guys haven't checked out his website, it's beantownaquatics.com. Don't forget Fish Freaks, all capital letters in the checkout. Under coupons, you guys get 10% off any dry goods, as well as 10% off any tank-raised fish. It's a killer deal. He has some killer fish. Probably the best cichlids I've ever seen. I'm going to pick some up from him probably tomorrow. So you guys should definitely go check them out. Alright, we're going to get started. We'll let people roll in as they roll in. I just wanted to kind of get together and talk to a little bit about what's going on with Fish Freaks. I don't know if you guys have been seeing my posts or not, but we got a couple of cool things coming up. Obviously, we have the collaboration with Beantown. We'll be doing a bunch of videos with Andre, hopefully here in the future. Yes, all 500 Mbuna, all of them. I'm going to take his entire fish room. But we have a couple cool things coming up. Obviously, we have T-shirts. We'll have some tank stickers coming out with our logo on them, and we are going to be having our own entire lineup of fish food from a very well-known manufacturer that we'll be branding ourselves and selling fairly cheap. I don't remember the exact numbers that we have set up, but I'll get those together for you guys. We'll have cichlid pellets floating and sinking, fried food, tropical flakes, angel flakes. We'll have some medicated foods, veggie rounds, stuff like that. Probably going to add some Tropheus stuff just because Brandon decided he wanted to go the Tropheus route. He's getting his Tropheus from Andre next month, I believe, so it'll be pretty cool. So yeah, we got that going on. Definitely check it out, and you know, when that's all put together, I'll put out a post for you guys. I don't know any other fish group that has their own food, so this will be interesting. I've never done it before, so it's a learning experience for me. Hopefully, it works out for you guys. You know, I don't skimp on food myself. You know, everything I feed all of my fish is top quality. So, you know, I'm not going to give you guys cheap food. So, you know, it's still in process. I do have the vendor lined up, just kind of going over finishing touches and stuff like that. So, with that, let's get this rolling. With everything that's been going on, there's been a lot of posts with people with new tanks and stuff like that. Just kind of wanted to go over some stuff as far as, you know, setting up, you know, the tank, cycling the tank, picking out good quality fish, making sure that you're not getting fish with diseases and stuff like that. And if you do end up with a disease, some of the more common ones, ways to treat it. So when you get your tank, obviously you're going to want to get the biggest tank you can afford. You're not going to want to buy a 10-gallon tank and think you're going to have a school of cichlids. It's not going to happen. When you go to Petco and Walmart and places like that and PetSmart, they're going to give you the absolute bottom line, lowest quality, cheapest tank you could possibly put that fish in. I think they recommend a 10-gallon tank for a pleco or something crazy like that. Don't do it. Do some research, figure out what you need. Plecos need massive tanks. You know, there's only a couple of small varieties of plecos, BNs and stuff like that you can put in smaller tanks. I still don't recommend them anything smaller than like a 40. Even that's kind of small. But do your homework. You know, figure out what you need. Ask questions. That's why we're here. You know, with that, when you go to the store, you're going to want to make sure you're picking out good quality fish. There's a couple of ways to do it. One is sit there and watch. If you see a fish that's hiding in the corner, not being social, kind of keeping to himself, stay away from that fish. You don't want it. And there's a good chance that if that fish is sick, the other fish in the tank are sick as well. So try and limit yourself to only quality vendors. You know, don't get me wrong. Some of the big box stores, they do have quality fish. The one by me personally, I don't think does. In a minute, Kevin, I'll show you my tanks, all right? But make sure you do your homework. You don't want to be sticking fish that get 12, 14 inches inside of a 20-gallon tank. It's just not going to work well. So with that, when you get to the store, like I said, observe the fish, watch them, make sure they're being social, swimming around, not sitting in one spot too long, obviously not swimming sideways, stuff like that. The one thing that I do when I pick out fish, doesn't matter where it is, I have the associate feed the fish in front of me. This is a good indication that the fish is healthy. If the fish doesn't eat, I won't buy it. Not only will I not buy that fish, but I will not buy any fish in that tank at all. Because, like I said, If they're sick, there's a good chance that the fish around them are sick. So just make sure you're paying attention to that. And, you know, there's a million different diseases out there. It's, well, yes, unless it's a frontosa and then they don't move, they sit in one spot. But if they're not sitting in a school, then there's a problem. So, like I said, have the associate feed them. If they don't eat, move on. You know, you don't want that fish. 9 times out of 10, the fish will eat, even if they just ate, because they're fish. They'll eat till they can't eat anymore. So, with that, we'll move on to... I see you, Kevin. With that, we'll move on to some diseases and common stuff and ways to treat them. The first and the most common is obviously ick. Ick is by far the most common disease in any fish tank. The problem with ick, yeah, that's right, they won't move if they're dead either. So if they're upside down, sideways, or floating on the top, or stuck to the filter, don't buy the fish. There's no saving that fish. Even Andre Fritz himself couldn't save that fish. So ick. Ick is the most common disease in any fish tank, and it is also one of the most ridiculous diseases to try and get rid of. I'm sure everybody's seen ick. It's the white spots, looks like little pieces of rice. There's a million different ways you can treat it. My personal way of treating ick, and the only way I'll try to treat it before I do anything, is I'll raise the temperature in the tank to 92. Obviously, this is after I pull the fish with ick out of the tank, put them in a different tank where there's no other fish around them. I'll raise the temperature to 92, let it sit for a week, and see if it gets better. If it does get better, then I'll leave him there for another week until I see him completely spot-free. Once he's spot-free, in my opinion, and in my experience, he's good to go. I'll introduce him back into the tank that he came from, and then from there I'll keep an eye on him and the rest of his tank mates, or her tank mates, and we'll go from there. There's other treatments for ick, obviously, besides elevating the temperature to 92. There's a million different medications that you can use. Seachem makes some, Tetra makes some. They're awesome. The ones I would stay away from are the ones that say jungle on them that you buy at Walmart. Terrible. Anything with the word jungle on it, stay far away from. They don't work. And when they do work, they don't work very good. So when you're treating the tank with chemicals, especially if you're using a copper-based chemical, you need to be very, very careful of how much you dose and what's going on with the fish inside. If you're using copper, any invertebrate that's inside of that tank will get nuked. So you would want to take any invertebrate out of that tank before you treat it and put it in a different tank. Invertebrates cannot catch ick. It is not possible. There is no invertebrate in this world that can catch ick. They can't catch ick, they can't transport ick, and they can't give ick to anybody else. There's no way possible. So put them in a different tank that doesn't have ick, and just let them chill out till your entire regimen of medication is done. And then you can put them back in the other tank that you had them in. Another thing is when you're using medications, you're going to want to remove the carbon. This goes for any medication you use. I don't know of many medications that allow you to keep the carbon in. Carbon will pretty much neutralize the chemicals themselves. I don't use carbon either. I don't see a point in carbon if you're keeping up with your water changes and stuff like that. There's really no need for carbon. In a saltwater tank, yes, I do run carbon in my saltwater tank. The reason for that is because there's so many microscopic enzymes and stuff inside of the salt water that the filter itself can't filter them out, and carbon does a good job of filtering them out, keeping the smell down, and just keeping the overall stability of the tank. So I don't run carbon in any of my freshwater tanks unless I absolutely need to. If I get a cloudy tank or something like that, I'll throw carbon in it for a couple of days, and then it'll clear the tank out, and I'll take it out. So that's ick. If you get ick and you need help, guys, feel free to ask us some questions. We'll be more than happy to help you out. The second and the most common that I've seen in our group is tail and fin rot. There's a couple different things with tail and fin rot. Tail and fin rot can be mistaken for fin nipping. Frayed fins, they're notorious in fin rot, but they're also notorious in fighting. So if you have a fish that has frayed fins, yes, you are 100% right, Wendy. You definitely want to check out the the absolute top line temperature of your fish before you raise it to 92. You're not going to want to raise your temperature to 92 in a cold water tank, or pretty much any goldfish. For those, I would definitely use chemicals. You're 100% correct. And you're right, Andre. After you're done treating with meds, put the carbon in to remove the meds, and also do a water change. You're going to want to do a 25% water change minimum after you finish your meds, and then that way there you get them all out of there, so you're not continuously loading your fish up with meds. Brittany, I'll go through those at the end. I actually have a list already put together as far as what I use for meds and what I keep on hand. It's fairly short because what I use is a broad spectrum medication, but we'll go over that at the end. So back to tail and fin rot. Like I said, don't let it be mistaken for fighting. You'll get some fish that have nip fins. They're going to look frayed and stuff like that. You'll know if your fish has fin rot. They're going to start to wilt away. They're going to look like pieces are falling off. It's not just going to be torn. So pay attention to that before you start medication. You don't want to medicate a fish unless you absolutely have to. Good medications for fin rot is any antifungal. Tetra Lifeguard worked great. Canaplex, one of the go-tos in my medicine cabinet. Those are basically my two staples. Anything with the word fix on it, don't go near it. Betafix, Melafix, Pimafix, they're useless. They don't do anything. It just adds stuff to your tank that you don't need. So just keep an eye on your fish, because any fungus can get really bad. With tail and fin rot, they can definitely turn into cottony lesions and stuff like that. When you get to that point, you're going to want to pull that fish out and definitely dump some chemicals inside of that tank, because the only thing you can really treat a fungus with is clean water and antifungal. Funguses tend to thrive in higher temperatures. Yes, the Betafix is actually bad for betas, believe it or not. They breathe air, they have lungs, the stuff that they put in it, not good. Stay away from it. Aloe vera does not have any place inside of a fish tank. The fish aren't sunburned, they don't need it. So back to funguses. Once your fish get to the point where they have a fungus that you can see, pull them out, put them in a separate tank, start dumping some chemicals. And you're not going to want to raise the temperature on those, the fish with funguses, because fungus and bacteria actually thrive in higher temperatures. They can actually reproduce quicker at higher temperatures than they can in lower temperatures. So just pull them out, keep them at the same temperature you've had them in most tropical fish, prefer 76 to 78. Keep it in that area, and then start medicating with your antifungal medications. Funguses are pretty easy to treat. Very rarely are they lethal to fish. Just keep an eye on them. If it gets really bad, then we got to take some more extreme measures, but that's rare. If you catch it in time, you'll notice that they have, like I said, the rotting stuff. It's going to look like white, powdery stuff on their skin. Then you can start, medicating them as far as that goes. So how long should sunken belly be treated for? Mine has been going for a month. Fish are better, but still have two or three still have it. Sunken belly is a pain in the ass to treat. There's 100 things that could cause it. It could be a parasite, bacteria, fungus. It's hard to tell what causes sunken belly. Basically, once a fish gets sunken belly, there's a couple of choices you can do. My go-to for sunken belly is General Cure. I don't know if Andre wants to chime in on this. I'm sure he's seen it 1,000 times, but sunken belly and bloat, terrible diseases to treat. Metro, obviously a go-to. Metro is a staple, should be a staple in any medicine cabinet. Bloat and stuff like that, Canaplex. Just keep it simple. The simpler you keep it and the least amount of chemicals that you start dumping in the tank, the better chance they have of surviving. I've lost a bunch of fish to bloat and sunken belly. It's gnarly, and it's hard to treat. Cheminomus, buttworms, very hard to treat as well. Veery has them right now. She's trying to treat them. Levinstall, or however you pronounce it, is the only thing that works. Nothing else works. Anything you hear, somebody tells you that they can treat buttworms and fish with something besides Levinstall, don't listen to them. It's not possible. There's a million different versions of it out there. The one I use is it's dewormer number 3 from Everything Aquatics. Nope, sorry, Angels Plus. Dewormer number 3 from Angels Plus. Great product. Actually, all of my medicated food comes from Angels Plus. Andre Fritz has some amazing, amazing medicated foods, and I heard he's adding some more to his line as well. I just said that. I've never used Andre's medicated foods. I am picking some up this weekend when I go to pick up his massive score of fish that he's giving me. So I do plan on getting some of his Metro Flakes, stock up on those, because I did run out of my Angels Plus medicated flakes. So I will be using Andre's, and I will let you guys know how it works out, because these fish behind me, this way, these fish behind me, my Pinoy and my Rio Negro, actually need to be treated. I'm not sure what's wrong with them, but they need something. They're not eating, they're chilling in one spot, so my guess is they probably have Hex again. Yet another disease that sucks to treat. We'll go over that. But yes, I will be getting my Metro from Andre, and we'll be feeding that to them, and I'll let you guys know how it works. I'm sure it's legit. I'm sure it's on point. So look for a review on that. Leave those trophies alone. Oh, you bet your ass I would be looking at those. I'm done. So yes, that was sunken belly and bloat. Like I said, terrible. I'm sure Andre has some ways of treating both. I'm sure he'd be more than happy to put a post together on those, as far as what he does and what he uses to treat them. I'm sorry my video's getting all choppy. I'm not sure why. Apparently I have full service, but Facebook doesn't like me today. So the next is Hexamita. Hole in head. Terrible. Terrible. Anybody that has any number of cichlids has probably had this at one point in time. I know Brandon just went through this not too long ago. We were able to treat it. The major signs of Hexamita, hole in head, stuff like that, they'll poop white, stringy poop. They'll lose their color. They won't eat. They'll hang out by the filter, hang out in the corner of the tank, or they will have an obvious hole in the head. That is my text message. For some reason, my wife decided to send me 18 text messages in a row. Don't ask. I'll find out when I go downstairs. But yeah, Hexamita and hole in head. Very, very common in cichlids. Yeah. Sorry, Mr. Matthews. Everybody heard it. It's my phone. Let me turn off my notifications real quick. Hang on one second. This way here it doesn't happen again. All right, there we go. Not aliens, Transformers. All right, so Hexamita, hole in head, stuff like that. Like I said, white stringy poop. They won't eat. They'll chill in the corner, hang out by the heater, or they'll have an obvious hole in the middle of their forehead, or a bunch of holes in the middle of their forehead. Pretty simple to treat. Just keep the tank clean, as clean as you can. You know, I recommend doing 20 to 25% water changes every day to get that parasite out of the water itself. You're going to want to treat it with Metro. Metro is pretty much the only thing you can use. I recommend feeding them flakes. Feeding a fish medication is much better than trying to treat the water column. The reason why is they ingest it. It's much more concentrated. Therefore, it hits them quicker and they get more of a dose. Yes, Epsom salt baths. Anytime I have a fish with a disease, doesn't matter what it is, specifically parasites, I'll give them an Epsom salt bath. A 3% bath for 20 to 25 minutes, 2 or 3 times a day for an entire week. That's going to try and purge any parasite they have inside of them. They will poop like crazy. Don't be concerned. It's going to happen. It's basically the biggest laxative you could possibly give a fish. They will crap their brains out for a week. So Epsom bath is pretty much my go-to first line defense for parasites. Doesn't matter what is internal, external. It's wonders. I mean, Epsom salt is gold in a fish tank collection as far as medications go. So if you don't have any Epsom salt, go out and buy some. I get mine from the dollar store. I'll show you. I have it right here. Family Dollar Epsom salt. It's like $1.20. This will last me a good month and a half. You know, that 3%, 2 to 3 tablespoons per gallon of water. You're going to want to treat them outside of the tank for 20 to 25 minutes. Just dump some tank water inside of a good-sized Tupperware container. Let them soak, hang out, chill. You're going to want to watch them if they start gasping for air or anything like that. You know, floating sideways, pull them out immediately. Don't let them hang out there too long. You know, definitely keep an eye on them. It's not something you want to put them in and walk away from. You know, put them somewhere where you're going to be. But don't let them get to the point where they're swimming sideways or up at the surface gasping for air. Then it's too long. So as far as medicated foods go, you're going to want to get a good anti-parasitic like Metro Flakes. Andre has some great foods. I've heard great things about his medicated foods. I'm going to start carrying in my fish room his lineup of medicated foods. I've also used Everything Aquatics. No light. What, you can't see me? I'm here. I can see me. I have Everything Aquatics right now. What I do is I go out and I buy their package. It's called the Medicine Cabinet. Basically has everything you can think of: dewormer, Metro, other parasitics, anti-parasitic stuff like that. It's a great thing. I'm going to be talking to Andre about doing something similar so that I can carry it from him. I'm sure he'll have no problem doing it. So as far as diseases and stuff like that go, that's your most common ones. And then velvet, obviously. Velvet is your least favorite semi-common disease that a fish can get. The easiest way to spot velvet is to turn the lights off in your aquarium. Get a flashlight and hold it to the side of the fish. If you see gold sparkly things that aren't normally there, there's a good chance the fish has velvet. Same thing. Treat with an anti-parasitic. Raise the temperature. Parasites don't like higher temps. They can survive up to about 80-ish, 88, 89 degrees. That's why I raised mine to 92. Sometimes you can get rid of a parasite simply by raising the temperature. You don't always have to treat everything with chemicals, so keep that in mind too. Like I said, Epsom bath salts and stuff like that. Those are my go-to things as far as that goes. When you're setting up an aquarium, like I said, you're going to want to get the biggest tank you can afford. The reason why I say this is because the old adage is 1 inch per gallon, and I am here to tell you, forget that. Stay as far away from the 1 inch per gallon rule as you can. The reason why is because you can go to the store and you can buy a cichlid. You can buy a baby frontosa that's 1 inch long, but what they don't tell you is that fish gets 10 inches big. Now, at 1 inch long, theoretically speaking, it's 1 inch per gallon. You could put that fish in a 1 gallon aquarium, right? No, you cannot. Nothing belongs in a 1 gallon aquarium. I don't care what anybody tells you. The smallest I recommend for anything is a 2.5 gallon, and that's for betta fish. The reason why I say this is because betta fish don't need massive aquariums. Betta fish are extremely, extremely lazy. Shrimp too, yes. You can put shrimp in a 2.5 gallon aquarium. I still don't recommend shrimp in a 1 gallon aquarium, only because there's not a lot of water to move around and filtrate. So it's very, very easy for that water to get dirty and out of whack. Ammonia can spike, stuff like that. So yes, you can do 1 gallon aquariums, but you need to make sure you stay on top of them as far as like shrimp and stuff like that go. Bettas, like I said, I recommend 2.5 gallons. You're going to want a filter, you're going to want a heater, unless you can somehow magically keep that tank at 78 degrees, which is the magic sweet spot for betta fish. Not to start controversy, that's just how I do it. Everybody has their own way of doing it. Bettas have survived for hundreds of years with no heaters and no filters. Can it be done? Yes. Do they need pristine water conditions? No, absolutely not. The reason why is because they don't breathe inside the water. They're not normal fish. They have lungs. So keep that in mind, as far as bettas go. When you're setting up a tank, get everything you need before you even think about fish. You're going to want to get a general idea of what you want for fish. If you want a cichlid community, stuff like that, a 30 gallon for, some smaller strains is fine. For bigger fish, I wouldn't recommend anything smaller than a 75, for a smaller variety of schooling cichlids. I'm not a cichlid guy. I can't give you the specifics on their names. We have Andre and Brandon for that, and Kevin. Those are our cichlid guys. But for a smaller community, like my 36 gallon bow front, you can get a 30 gallon. I have probably 20 fish in there. It's been fine. The fish stay 3 or 4 inches each. I kind of stock high on cichlids to keep my aggression down. When I first got my cichlid tank, I didn't stock very high. I only had 5 or 6 fish, and they all started fighting each other. So that's just my opinion on everything. Everybody has their own way of doing it, and there's a million different ways. Bumblebees, aka the small yellowfish at PetSmart, gets around 8 inches. Yes, exactly what I'm saying. When you go and you buy their assorted cichlids, at PetSmart and Petco, keep in mind a majority of those are going to be convicts and stuff like that, and they don't stay very small. So what might be an inch or two when you buy it will very quickly get 7, 8, 9 inches, and then it's going to outgrow that 20-gallon aquarium that you got yourself. So that goes into planning ahead, knowing what you want and how big they get before you do it. You're going to want to stock to the adult size of the fish, not what they are when you buy them. So if you go out and you buy an angelfish that's, this big, $50 size, and you think, oh great, I'm going to put this fish, with 4 of his buddies in a 10-gallon tank because they stay kind of small, the 1 inch per gallon rule. Well, I'm here to debunk that because I don't know if you guys have seen the size of some of my angelfish, but that Pinoy right there on the left-hand side that's checking out that breeding slate that I have in there, he's a good 10 inches top to bottom. So he would not go well inside of a 10-gallon aquarium. That is a 20-gallon tall for 2 breeders. That's what all my breeding tanks, well, a majority of my breeding tanks are 20 talls. You can't hear me. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Okay, awesome. Sorry. That's a 20-gallon tall, the one behind me, that has my Pinoy clown inside of it, as well as a Rio Negro. Just trying something different. I had 2 clowns in there, ghost clown and a Pinoy clown. The ghost clown unfortunately came to me sick due to shipping stress. I was unable to save that fish, one of the few fish that I've actually had die recently. So we're just trying something different until I get the replacement clown coming in hopefully the next couple of weeks. But you're not going to want to, like I said, you're not going to want to stick an angelfish in a 10-gallon aquarium. It's not going to work out well. Buy one for you. Yeah. Very. Buy Kevin a new phone so he can hear me. So stocking levels, you're going to want to pay attention to what they recommend. If you're going for a community tank and you want to do Cories, Angels, Neons, Swordtail, stuff like that, don't expect to get 1 or 2 of those fish. It's not going to work out well. Angelfish inside of a community tank, you want to get 5 or 6. The reason why is if you only get 1 or 2, they're going to get aggressive. They're going to get territorial, and they're going to start fighting each other. Neon tetras don't do well outside of schools. Neither do Cories. Cories love to shoal. I forget who it was that did the difference between shoal and schooling the other day on that post. But the difference between shoal and shoaling is just a group of fish hanging out. There's no rhyme or reason to what they're doing. They're just kind of swimming together in a big mound. Schooling is what you see in like tetras and stuff like that, where they're all swimming in the same direction. It looks like a military march. That's the difference between shoaling and schooling. So if you have a schooling fish, you're going to want to get a school of at least 6-ish. That goes for most fish. It obviously differs for some of the other varieties. But just, do your homework on schooling and stuff like that in terms of what you're going to get and what you're planning on keeping. The difference between shoaling and schooling, I don't remember who put it out. It might have been you, but I don't remember who. Craig Smith, what's up, buddy? Victor, how long have you had those angels for? They usually don't start to show aggressiveness until they're getting ready to breed. And then once they start to pair off, if they do pair off, then they get really, really aggressive. You're going to want to actually pull them out of the tank once they start to breed. But yeah, even if they don't pair up, once they get to the size of, once they get about 2 inches, fin to fin, they start to get a little aggressive. There's ways around it. You can move stuff around, stuff like that, give them places to hide. I'm not saying that every 1 or 2 groups of angelfish get aggressive. It's just, it's common. It's very common. So just keep an eye on them. If they start attacking other fish in the tank and stuff like that, you're going to want to either pull them out or do something. If they haven't started the fight yet after a year, you're probably good. Every fish is different, and I've said this about everything. Just because a fish is designed aggressive doesn't mean it's going to be aggressive. Can aggression come out? Of course. You can't take the aggression out of a fish. But if it's working for you and it's been a year, I don't see a need to change it. You know, if something happens, you know, and they do decide that they're gonna start to get aggressive, then, you know, we gotta change stuff up. Either add a couple more, pull them out and put them in their own tank. You know, let them hang out. You know, or mix up the decor and stuff like that. So going back to setting up a tank, you know, we already said, you know, obviously getting the biggest you can afford, getting everything ready that you're going to need before you decide to purchase the fish. Do your homework, find out the tank that you need for the adult size fish, unless you plan on keeping up with them as you progress and increasing your tank volume. I don't recommend it because 9 times out of 10 when somebody says, oh, I'll get them a bigger tank when they get older, it doesn't happen. I've done it before myself. We're all guilty of it. Don't do it. If you can avoid it, get them the tank that they need to begin with. You know, if you're going to do a couple of parrots, get a 125-gallon tank. If you're going to do one parrot, get the 75. Bigger cichlid tanks, like I said, 75, 125 gallons. Do it to begin with so you don't have to worry about doing it at the end. Playing catch-up is not fun in this world. You know, it's hard, and like I said, convicts are people too. Yes, convicts are people too. Yes, lots and lots of people. You know, just do your research and find out what they require. Yes, they do claim their territory for spawning. I have this tank right here. I'll show you. This is my tank of Altums and zebras. I think there's 6 fish in here right now. There's more coming up, but they actually just spawned. The Altums just spawned. I got about 200 eggs in here. They just turned into wigglers, and they were very, very aggressive while the eggs were inside of that tank. I wasn't expecting them to spawn. It just kind of happened. I thought they were too young. They're obviously not. But an easy way to calm aggression in pretty much any spawning fish, pull the eggs. Once there's no eggs, they have nothing to protect. You know, it's obviously a lot harder with some cichlids that are mouth brooders, but you can strip the fish and put them in a you can put them in an egg tumbler and stuff like that. You know, there's ways around everything. You could even theoretically raise discus away from their parents. It's not common. Everybody says you can't do it. I've done it. I'm telling you, it can be done. Our discus girl, Brittany, she's gonna be doing non-parent raising on her next batch of discus eggs. So, you know, I'm sure she can tell us how that goes. Yes. We talked a little bit about it as far as that goes. If you're going to do artificial raising, I've heard dozens of stories of fish that were fine for a year and went berserk. Yes, it does happen. Absolutely does happen. Always be prepared. Like I said, keep an eye on them. Because if it can happen, it will happen. I've seen the most peaceful fish there is go absolutely bonkers. I've seen neon tetras chase other fish around. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Neon tetra, like Hulk Hogan, he would chase everything. But yeah, get everything you need in advance. Get your filters, get your heaters, get the biggest tank you can get, pick out a spot, add water, and start cycling it. I don't recommend fish in cycles. I've said this a couple of times. The reason why, it's huge stress on the fish. You're going to get ammonia spikes, you're going to get nitrite spikes, you're going to get nitrate spikes. There's no way to avoid it. Absolutely no way to avoid it. It's part of cycling. It's the nitrogen cycle itself. So even, you know, double, triple, quadruple dosing the tank with prime, you're still going to stress the fish out. So for that, I recommend doing fishless cycles. There's a bunch of different ways you can do it. I actually put a post out that we'll be pinning, well, not pinning, but we'll be adding it to the file section of the page shortly. I'm going to write it a little bit different, and I'm going to go over fish in and fishless cycle. But like I said, I don't recommend fish in cycle. As far as fishless cycle goes, you're going to want to start the cycle about a month and a half in advance of when you plan on buying your fish. Don't order any fish. Get all your supplies, get your tank, get your light, get your filter, get everything up and running. Let it run, clean itself out, clear itself out for a couple of days, and then you're going to want to start adding a couple of pinches of flake every day. You can either use flake or you can use 100% ammonia. The cleaning stuff doesn't have to be anything fancy. I use the dollar store stuff again. I I don't remember the exact amount that I dose. It's not a lot. It's a very tiny amount of ammonia in a tank. I'm sure Wendy can chime in, or Andre, or even Kevin. Yeah, we'll go over that in a minute, Kevin. I'm talking about new tanks themselves. No, do not pee in your 10-gallon to cycle it. Does not work. Yeah, it is the easiest. You're right, Kevin, but we're going over new setups right now, so I'll go over seeding and how to seed in a minute. So you're going to want to either, like I said, put in a pinch of fish food every day, or just go with the straight ammonia. It doesn't have to be a lot. Very, very little goes a very long way. Let it run for a week. You don't need to test anything for a week. Don't waste the test fluids. You know, those kits are not cheap. After a week goes, you can start testing your ammonia. You're going to notice that it's going to spike. You know, it's going to get up well over... Well, actually, you know what? Let's see. I'm going to show you guys the card for those of you that haven't seen it, if I can find it. Bear with me for 1 second. I have the colors pretty much memorized, so... Yep, I can't find it. But you're going to notice your ammonia is going to skyrocket. You don't need to do anything. Just keep adding your fish flakes, keep adding your ammonia. You know, let it run for, like I said, a week. Then you can test your ammonia. If you have ammonia registering on the test strips, not test strips, sorry, don't use test strips. Test strips bad. On the test card, if you're registering high ammonia on the test card, then you're going to want to move and test your nitrite. Nitrite is the byproduct of ammonia waste. Well, the bacteria that eats ammonia. What happens is you get ammonia, bacteria eats the ammonia, and its poop is called nitrite. Nitrite, ammonia, hugely lethal in fish. There is no safe amount, really. Any amount of either is going to cause stress to your fish. It can wreak havoc. You don't want to let your fish swim around in ammonia or nitrite. Just bad things. Once you test and you have ammonia and you have nitrite, then you can start testing your nitrate. Once your nitrates start registering, you know, once it gets to the 10, 20, 40, 80 parts per million, then you know your cycle is complete. If you have no ammonia, no nitrite, but you have high nitrate, then your cycle's done. At that point, what I would do is I would do an 80% water change. That would get everything out of the water column as far as lethal toxins go, because your nitrate is going to be huge. After a fishless cycle, your nitrate can be 160. They're just what happens. You didn't miss much, Brandon. We're just talking about cycling right now. So after your tank is cycled, like I said, once you're registering those high nitrates, then you know your tank is cycled. You're going to want to do an 80% water change, get the ammonia and nitrite out of your tank, and get your nitrate levels down to a safe level. Safe levels that I recommend is 40 parts per million and lower. The reason why is because at higher volumes, even nitrate is toxic to fish. There's some fish that can withstand high nitrates. I don't have any. I've never kept any. I don't plan on keeping any, but I also don't let my nitrate get too high. Once you get to that point and you do your water change, then you can start adding your fish. I don't recommend adding a lot of fish at once. You're not going to want to go and fully stock your tank on the first day after your cycle is complete. You know, start with 1 or 2 fish. You know, let it run for a week or two. Add a couple more fish. Let it run for a week or two. Add a couple more fish, and then you're going to go that way. What that helps is it prevents your tank from crashing. Yeah, I seed too, Wendy. We're actually going to go over that in a minute. I'll go over everything as far as seeding and how to seed. Pretty easy to do. It's actually the easiest way to cycle a tank. You can actually see the floating sponge behind me, and I also have floating sponges in that tank, and I also have a floating sponge in every tank in my fish room at the office. But we'll go over that in a minute. So yeah, you're not going to want to dump all of your fish into the tank at once. You know, you're going to want to take it slow, add a couple of fish a week, test your water, do your water changes, and then you can continue to add your fish. Having a tank crash is the worst possible thing you can go through. You know, you'll have fish that'll be swimming perfectly fine 1 minute, the next minute they're dropping dead. And there's really not much you can do to avoid a tank crash. You know, if you're at the point where you're just dumping fish into your tank. there's a couple of things that can cause a tank crash. We'll go over those in a minute. I actually wanted to bring it up because a friend of mine actually messaged me this morning all frantic because his tank crashed and he lost a couple of fish. But we'll get into that in a minute. Let me get back to my notes here because we're getting a little off subject. So, yep, that narrows that down as far as fish list cycling goes. Everybody's been saying it, so I'll touch on it now. The easiest way and the fastest way to cycle a tank is seeding. What I mean by seeding is you're going to take your filter media out of the filter that you plan on putting in the new tank. You're going to let it sit in your old established tank for, I like to do at least 2 weeks. Some say that's not long enough, but I haven't had any problems with 2 weeks. But you're going to let it want to sit there for 2 weeks, pick up all that beneficial bacteria, and then you can put it right in your new tank. And the great thing about that is as soon as it's in your new tank, you can immediately start adding fish. You know, same thing applies. You're not going to want to dump too many fish in there at once, but the day that you set up your tank, theoretically, you could have fish in your tank if you do a seeded cycle. Like I said, this is how I seed mine. I float my sponge filters inside of my tanks for at least 2 weeks. I think that one's been in there for probably over a month. The one behind me, God, that's for this tank over here. That's just a fry tank. That's been in there for 2 months. I'm currently seeding my nano tank. Got some biomedia sitting in my aquaclear right now. Perfect. That's the exact way to do it. Just let your biomedia, whether it's a sponge, pellets, lava rock, doesn't matter what it is. Any of your biomedia, just let it hang out in your old filter, even the bottom of your tank. Let it sit there for a couple weeks before you plan on buying new fish. I have started tanks in a day with pre-growing a filter in an established tank, and then transferring both the pre-grown filter and tank water. I agree with part of that. There's not much beneficial bacteria in the water column itself. Very little to none, actually. I don't like transferring old tank water into a new aquarium. The reason why is because anything that's in that tank water, whether it be disease, bacteria, parasites, ammonia, nitrite, high nitrates, even just general dissolved solids and stuff like that, I don't like putting that into a new tank. I don't see a benefit. There is a benefit. Okay, there is some bacteria in the water column. It's not a high amount. I see more negatives to adding used water to a new aquarium than not. So I don't do it. When I start new tanks, when I seed my new tanks, I use 100% new water. The water that I use, I mix 50% RODI with 50% tap water. The reason why I do that is because I have hard water in my house. I can actually show you what I mean, and the easiest way to tell if you have hard water, I don't know how good you're going to be able to see this, but if you look inside the filter tube, you can see that there's a buildup of calcium, as well as on the airline itself. So what happens when you mix RODI water in with your tap water, not only does it kind of stabilize the pH, but it also takes any of the hardness out. Not all, but most. I just take half my media from my established tank and sit it in the new tank. Done. Exactly. You can do that too. You can just, when you're setting up a new tank, time it so that it's when you do your filter maintenance. When you're putting a new filter pad in, take the filter pad out of your old filter, stick it in your new filter, good to go. Time to grow a seed filter is dependent on rate of biomass growth, which is dependent on food supply. Exactly, and that's actually something I wanted to get into, and the reason why I was saying don't dump too many fish into a tank at once. I guess I'll touch on it now. I had a friend of mine message me this morning about 8:30, absolutely frantic, going nuts. Loop-de-loo. He had a tank crash. He woke up, his pH skyrocketed. It was like 8.5 when it's usually like 7.2. Not sure what happened in that, but most of the reasons why tank crashes happen, there's a couple of things. One, you clean all of your filter media at the same time. If you have sponge filters, if you pull them out and you wash them all at the same time, you're going to have a crash. If you have two HOB filters and you take both filter pads out and clean them both, replace them both the same day, you're going to have a crash. There's no way to avoid it. Absolutely no way to avoid it. The reason why is because all of your beneficial bacteria, I transfer the water to the fish already. Okay, I get what you're saying. Okay, that makes sense, Wendy. Yes, that I agree with, 100%. If you want to go into that a little bit more, what you're talking about as far as that goes, Wendy, well, I'm talking about tank crashes and stuff like that. Go for it. That'd be great. Hang on one second, guys. I gotta try something. I gotta try and get this straightened out. My phone's lagging here. Let me shut some stuff off. Alright, let's see if that helps. Is my phone lagging? Let me know if this is lagging or not. I can't tell. It looks like it's good to me, but you guys are saying that my chat's behind and stuff like that. I'm actually playing catch up. I'm scrolling through. Hold on. 1 second. Alright, I don't know if this is straightened out or not. I'm lazy, I try to clean my canisters. Okay. Alright, I shut a bunch of stuff in the background off. Is my phone better? Can you guys hear me better now? Is it less choppy? Somebody say yes, somebody say no. Somebody? Bueller? Are we getting less choppiness now? Alright, we'll roll with it. Alright, so like I said, tank crashes. You pull all of your filter media out and you clean it all, you're going to have a crash. Don't do it. All your beneficial bacteria hangs out inside of your filter and inside of your substrate. You don't want to... Yes, it's laggy, or yes, it's better. You don't want to clean everything at once. Do them separate. 1 week clean one filter pad, the next week clean the other filter pad and alternate them. I've rinsed my sand from my filters every now and then. Yep, you do. It happens. Stuff gets kicked up. There's everything in the water. If a fish is diving for food and the sand gets stirred up, it's going to get sucked in. So yes, filters do get dirty and they do have to be cleaned. We'll probably do a video just on filter maintenance in the near future. We'll hit on different kind of filters and their pros and cons today a little bit. But I don't want to get in full detail as far as cleaning it and everything goes. But that's how you avoid a tank crash. Yeah, exactly. Your biomass is your tank support. That is where all of your biomedia hangs. Your biomedia is where all of your bacteria hangs out. Don't wash it all at once. You don't need to wash your pellets. You don't need to wash your lava rock. If you have bio balls, you don't ever really need to wash those either. The ceramic stones, once every 2 or 3 months, take them out, rinse them out in tank water, put them right back in. Don't use tap water to clean any of your filters. You're going to want to use recycled tank water when you do a water change. Take out your pads. Wring out your sponges, stuff like that. Keep them in the filter, in the tank water. That minimizes the amount of bacteria lost, because once you disturb the filter, there's a good chance that there's already bacteria inside of the tank. So you're going to want to use that tank water to clean those out. Let's see. So going back to setting up your tank, like I said, you're going to want to set it up in advance. Determine what you're going to use for filters and stuff like that. Pick out your fish before you pick out your tank. Your tank is going to depend on your fish. You're going to want to get the size tank suitable for your adult fish. So do your homework, do your research, ask questions, stuff like that. Let it cycle. Like I said, your tank's cycled when you have 0 ammonia, 0 nitrite, and your nitrate is skyrocketed. Once your nitrite skyrockets, do an 80% water change, bada bing, bada boom, throw some fish in, you're good to go. You're going to want to get a good quality test kit. Don't use the test strips, they're not accurate. Get a good fluid test kit. I use the API test kit, it's right there behind me. You have to know how to use it. When you're doing a nitrate test, just make sure you bang the crap out of bottle number 2. Smash it, bang it, shake it for 2 minutes, and then do your test. And then make sure you shake that test tube after you mix them really, really good for a minute, and then test it. Yep, that's what I have. Exactly, master test kit from API. It's the cheapest. It's people say it's not accurate. I've never had a problem. I'm at the point now where I'll test my water once every 2 or 3 months, or when I notice that there's a problem. But we'll get into that more probably next week. So you have your tank set up. It's cycled. You have your fish picked out. You're going to want to go through compatibility and make sure that they're compatible with each other. You know, you're not going to want to get a Meduna and put it with, you know, a South American. They have completely different water parameters. They have different needs. I don't think mixed tanks work well. You know, you can do a community tank. That's completely fine. But, you know, as far as cichlid mixed tanks go, I'm not a firm believer in it. I've never seen... Yeah, exactly. Meduna and peacocks. No. Don't do it. I've never seen anything good come out of mixed tanks. Yes, ew, mixed tanks. No. This is not sane fish husbandry. We do not do mixed tanks here. No mixed tank Mondays. There's no benefit to doing a mixed tank. They're going to fight. They're going to start beating each other up, and you're going to end up with dead fish. It's inevitable. Just stay away from it. You know, there's ways around. You can still get the fish you want similar without having to mix them. So just don't do it. When you get new fish, if you already have an established tank, you don't want to throw them right in your community tank. You're going to want to quarantine them for at least a month. The reason why I say this is because every fish store, doesn't matter where you go, doesn't matter how good their tanks are, they're going to have parasites, they're going to have bacteria, they're going to have stuff you don't want your fish to have. So I quarantine my fish for at least 4 weeks. While they're quarantined, I have a mixed tank. Well, sold my... Oh, you sold them. All right. We knew that was coming, though. It happens. You know, when you buy something, think it's going to be a convict, and you end up with a completely different fish, it happens. But yeah, you're going to want to QT your fish. You want to set up a quarantine tank. It doesn't have to be huge. My quarantine tank is just a 10-gallon tank right over there. You don't want to throw stuff inside of your established tank. You know, if you get a fish that has any parasite really, and it gets introduced into your display tank, bad things, bad things. When I get new fish, I do a couple of things. I'm going to show you real quick. Let me get it. Hold on. It's over here somewhere. And we'll just. Okay, I don't have the box. I go with General Cure to start with. General Cure is a great all-around medication for parasites, stuff like that. It's metro-based. It also has a couple of different medications in it, but it's great. Any parasite the fish has, if General Cure cannot treat it, then there's a good chance that the fish is going to be. That's just the way it is. So I'll shoot with the General Cure, but at the same time, I also, if I have one, let's see, I have mixed tank. I have their own bag of Metro Flakes. Each tank gets its own bag of Metro Flakes. I don't believe in cross contamination. It's a big thing with me. So I'll shoot with General Cure and Metro Flakes. This does a couple of things. It's not only going to help treat the external parasites, but it's also going to treat the internal parasites. My finger is not on the mic. I don't know why it's getting all blurry and blah blah. Next week I'll go on my Wi-Fi and do this. I didn't think it was going to be this bad. But yeah, you're going to want to quarantine your new fish for at least 4 weeks before you put them anywhere near your quarantine. Anywhere near your display tank. As far as picking the right fish goes, I mean, there's a million different things to go through. Size, how big of a tank can you get? Compatibility, what kind of fish do you want? What can go with it if you want a community tank? You know, you have your tetras, basically any Endler, stuff like that. You know, that's a big thing with people is community tanks and schooling fish and stuff like that. You know, just know what you're looking for before you buy it. And you don't want to overload, exactly, aggression. You're not going to want to put a convict inside of a neon tank. That neon does not stand a chance. That neon will very quickly become convict food. So you're going to want to get a baseline of what you're looking for in terms of size, how big of a tank you can get, what you're looking for. No, yeah, definitely no Dovey with angels or tetras. It won't work well. For most semi-aggressive and aggressive fish, as far as non-aggressive fish goes, if it can fit in its mouth, it will eat it. That goes for any fish. Any semi-aggressive fish, any aggressive fish, just live on that adage. If it can fit in its mouth, it's eaten. It's food. Okay, let me move here. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can pick up my Wi-Fi signal up here. Is that better, Wendy? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Good. Let's see if this helps. All right. So, know what you want before you buy it. Don't go in expecting to determine it when you're there. Yeah, I know it's already been an hour so far. We're almost done, though. We're almost done. You're gonna want to know what you want before you get to the store. You know, you don't want to wing it. Winging it never works out good in this hobby. I think it must be lag for me then. He is almost a minute behind for me. I think when he's behind in the video a bit level. Yeah, probably. I'm caught up with you guys. You know, I'm getting back-to-back messages. I'm seeing people respond to each other, so I don't think it's me at this point. I hope it's not me at this point. When you're picking stuff out for your fish tank, you're going to want to get the highest quality stuff you can get. Cheaper is not better in this hobby at all. You know, if you get a cheap air pump, a cheap filter, stuff like that, it's going to wear out at the worst time possible. The worst thing you could ever go through, and I've been through it countless times, is having a heater go bad inside of a tank. It doesn't matter what's in there. It always happens when you're asleep. That's just what happens. It always happens when you're asleep. The heaters always explode and go bad when you're sleeping. I don't like glass heaters. I've actually, in my office, in my fish room, I actually replaced all of my heaters with the Aqueon Pros. I do have the two tanks in front of me. I'll show you those in a second. They do have glass heaters, but this tank behind me, where the expensive fish are, you know, the $400 worth of fish in that tank behind me right there, yep, that gets an Aqueon Pro. It's $50 for a 150 watt heater. Believe me, it's worth it. That heater will not explode, and when you forget to shut it off when you do your water change, it will shut itself off for you. It's great. That one right there. Great stuff. Do you want a single species show fish, single species community tank, breeding pair, multi-species tank? Before choosing fish, find out what options you have. Exactly. And that's what I said in not so many words. Have a focus when you get into the store. Don't go in there expecting to do a cichlid tank and then go far to the right and then end up with something completely different. Yes, Brandon, exactly what happened to Joey. Well, you know, Joey's situation was rare. Joey actually had a Cobalt Neotherm, which is a great heater. They're very expensive heaters. The problem with the Neotherms, we'll have the Aqueon heaters. You going to carry the Aqueon Pros, Andre? The Neotherm that Joey had in his Ray tank when it went bad actually had a toxic chemical inside of it, and when it actually went bad, it actually killed his rays. $2,000 worth of fish. So, yes, Brittany is right. You get what you pay for. Aluminum. Better than titanium. Aluminum outlasts titanium 10 to 1 as far as the heater goes. It also transfers heat a lot better than titanium does. It's going to stay more constant, and it's going to handle the temperature fluctuations a lot better. Again, like I said, that one back there, the Aqueon Pro, shuts itself off if you forget to do it when you're changing your water. Good for me. I always forget to shut them off. I've probably gone through 100 heaters this year alone from them exploding inside of a tank because stupid me forgot to shut them off. Don't be like me and be like, oh, shiny. Yes, exactly. Shiny things. Ooh, don't do that. Know what you're getting before you go in there. Get the best you can afford, especially when it comes to filters. You know, everybody is huge on these Sun canisters. I don't like them. I've never seen anything good about a $60 Sun canister. The two that I had for 2 days. They both leaked. They both flooded my living room. I got rid of them immediately. My favorite filter is a sump. I love sumps. Sumps do a great job, especially if you have them set up with a refugium. Throw some algae in there. Huge nitrate scrubbers. They work awesome. Yes, Jaegers are awesome too. Again, I don't like glass heaters. It's just me. I changed all of my glass heaters over at the fish room over to the Aqueon Pros last month. But I like sumps. There's no chance, really, if you set them up right and you pay attention, there's no chance of them leaking. Canisters I don't like. I don't really like anything that that works on an impeller. You know, they can go bad, the magnets can fail, and then basically just end up with a box. They're also nitrate factories. If you don't clean if you use the stock media inside of a canister filter and you don't clean it regularly, your nitrates are going to skyrocket. The reason why is because that's where all of your uneaten food, poop, dead fish, all that stuff that's in your water column, that's where it hangs out inside of your filter pads. My personal favorite, and what I use on my bigger tanks, my grow, my 220s, I have them hooked up to a 75-gallon sump. I'll probably show you the guys that in the next couple of weeks. I got to get the room cleaned up, and we'll get in there. Sumps are great. They do a great job cleaning it. They don't clog. None of that happens. You know, they go in, they go through your media, they go through the refugium, they hit the heater, and they come right back out. If you set it up perfect, Aqueon Pro, if it is crap out, they will replace it right away. Exactly. And me and Kevin actually just went through this recently. I got 22 Aqueon Pros last month. Out of the 22, I had one. One out of 22 go bad. And it probably wasn't even their fault. But I got on the phone with Aqueon, and I had a replacement in 2 days. So they're great. Going back to what Brandon said, Eheim, they're great products. The only problem is they stopped warrantying them in the United States. So if you guys have Eheims, filters, heaters, anything Eheim, don't bank on them replacing it under warranty because they are not doing it anymore. But yeah, my sump. I love my sump. 75 gallons. It treats 240 gallons worth of tank water, and adds 75 gallons to the water size itself. So you know, it adds a good amount to the water, to the size of your setup. So if you have a 120 gallon tank and you add a 40 gallon sump, your system's now 160 gallons. So you're less likely to have huge spikes in ammonia and nitrite because of that bigger water volume. Don't get me wrong, canisters have their place in smaller tanks. I just don't like them in bigger tanks. HOBs are great, especially the Aqua Clears. You can pull out the filter media that's in it and just dump in a ton of biomedia. Any bio pellet, lava rock, stuff like that inside of an Aqua Clear works awesome. Impellers are fun. Oh yeah, they're great. Pulling out those impellers to clean them. No, thank you. I do have HOBs on a bunch of my tanks. That's just the ones that I have overstocked, like this 29 right there that has 6 angelfish in it. Don't do it. Six angels do not belong in a 29, but they're hanging out. They're fine. I change the water every day, and they're smaller. So, but yeah, sumps are great. They do a great job cleaning it. They don't leak. They don't overflow if you maintain them. And they just do an awesome job filtering out the stuff that's inside the water. HOBs, Aqua Clear is the way to go. Pull out the filters that come with the Aqua Clear and use biomedia and pillow stuffing. The greatest things there are. If you're breeding, and even if you're not breeding, actually, I recommend sponge filters. Sponge filters are great. They're not going to pull out those huge pieces of uneaten food and stuff like that. But if you get the right ones, I use a couple different kinds. I use the Aqua Tops, which are super common. Those are Aqua Tops behind me. One of those is a 60 and one of them is a 40. So there's 100 gallons worth of sponges in that tank behind me. There's no HOB and no other filtration. And they do a great job. Exactly. Brandon, that is exactly why sumps are so popular in saltwater. Not only are sumps popular in saltwater because there's less that can go bad, but they're great to hide equipment in. If you have an active bed filter, hide it in the sump. You have a UV filter, hide it in the sump. You put your heater inside the sump. Yep, Andre, I had the Hikari sponges too. I switched over to these Aqua Tops and these blue ones over here. I forget who makes the blue ones. But I switched over to those. I didn't switch. It's just what they had at the fish store I was at. I had to set up the tanks, and that's all I had. But yeah, you can hide everything in a sump. You know, heaters, active bed filters, any equipment that you have in a saltwater, you know, you put your protein skimmers and stuff like that, they fit right in your sump and they're great. They get it out of the tank, make the tank look cleaner. But they also do a better job filtering out the stuff inside the tank too. And sponges, like I said, I love sponges. You know, sponges there, sponges there, sponges there. You know, I got sponges in all my tanks. The only tanks that don't have sponges are my 2 120-gallon grow out tanks. Everything else, sponge. You know, they just, as far as breeding goes, they're the best thing you can have because they're two benefits. One, they're less maintenance. Literally once a week, you just take them out, smash them inside of a bucket, put them back in. Two, the fry don't get sucked up inside of them. You know, you don't have to put anything over them to keep the fry from going in. So, you know, that's what I recommend. You know, Andre uses them. I use them. Rob Barnhart uses them. Daniel Anderson uses them. All the breeders I know, they all use sponge filters, and, you know, that's the main reason. They just do a better job inside of breeding tanks. I'm not going to hit too much on breeding today, only because we'll do a whole episode on YouTube just on breeding. You know, I want Andre to get involved in that too. Handle the cichlid side. I can handle the angel side of cichlids. Every breeder uses sponges. Yes and no. I've seen breeders use HOBs. I've seen breeders use sumps. I don't like them because it's a place where fry can get sucked up. You know, angel fry, when they're born, they're extremely small. So I don't like to use them. Yep, I'm 2 sponges in each tank too. Even in my 20s, 2 sponges. That one has, like I said, a 40 and a 60. Angel side of cichlids, yeah. Well, angels are still cichlids. Discus are still cichlids. So, you know, I'm an angel guy. You know, I breed angels. It's what I do. And Andre breeds cichlids. That's what he does, and he breeds way more than I do. You know, I have 29, 30 tanks. Andre has 100. The other type of cichlids, which I like, how many kinds? There's too many. I don't know how many cichlids there are. There's a ton of cichlids. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. There's still cichlids being found today. Jason Ball had, I think, 5 or 6 different species of cichlids that haven't even been discovered until he had them. That Pinoy has amazing fins. Yes, that Pinoy does have amazing fins. I'm trying to breed it with a standard tail and hope we can get some regular bales, but we'll see what happens. All right, so before we cut this off, anybody have any questions or anything that they want to go over before we cut you guys loose? We can talk about those. And like I said, guys, we have a lot of stuff coming. We have our YouTube channel that's coming up. We're working on stuff for that now. We have the T-shirts, the tank stickers. We're coming out with the Fish Freaks Plus fish food. You know, it's not this Fish Freaks Plus fish food. Say that 10 times fast. It's not your API. It's not your Tetra. I'd put it up there with Omega. It's that quality. You know, Omega's great food. You know, it's not the Cadillac like Northfin, but it's a super high quality food. You know, I'd put the Fish Freaks Plus line that we're coming out with up there with the Omegas and the NLSs and stuff like that. So keep a lookout for that. You know, we're going to have cichlid pellets, growth pellets, you know, the works. Anyone where to know to get some blue backgrounds? I don't even know what you're talking about. What is a blue background? Oh, the backgrounds. Yeah, you get the vinyl that they use to make signs. You can get it on eBay. They come in rolls and you just cut them to shape. Actually, you know what, Brandon? Why don't you just message Andre? Andre always has it. I'm sure he can get you some. Petco and PetSmart, they sell the Klingon type. They're junk. You want to actually get the sticky vinyl that they use for signs. It comes in a huge roll, and you just cut the sheets to size. The way I do it on my backgrounds, I just spray a little bit of Windex on it, wipe the glass, leave it a little damp, put the vinyl sticky side down, and then just squeegee it smooth. So Buy gift wrap and take it to the tank. Nah, that doesn't work. Get the vinyl. Talk to Andre and see who he gets it. I'm sure he has a supplier he can hook you up with. All right. So since nobody has any questions, I'm going to appease everybody and just do a quick tank tour. We're just going to we'll go to the 3 tanks. Well, actually, I have 4 tanks, but only 3 operational tanks in my bedroom right now. Maybe next week I'll take you downstairs and we'll go over the other 4 tanks. But this is one of my my breeder tanks that I have in here. This is a gold marble that actually spawned with a Rio Negro. These fish are about 6 weeks old. Let me get down on the floor. I hate having my tanks on the floor. These have some great colors in them. There's not too many straight marbles, believe it or not. I've probably seen, out of the 200 fish that are in here, I've probably only seen about 10. The rest of them are Pinoy-ish, which is weird. You know, you can see the colors. A lot of stripes, a lot of ghosts, a lot of hidden colors. The great thing about those fish is those fish have huge gold flaking on them, which is pretty cool, and I can't wait for them to grow out. So look for those. Those will be on sale probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks. These are some of my next gens. A couple Altums. That was fun counting. Yeah, I count them all. You have to in this world. I think I got 4 Altums. I got a Rio Negro. I got a Zebra and just a standard gold. The gold I didn't buy. It was actually given to me. It was a rescue. I don't normally breed golds or any of your standard style fish. But hey, we'll see what happens. You know, golds can still make some cool fish. A little spin around here. Don't mind the nursery. And these are my 2 favorite fish that I actually have in my house. This is my Pinoy clown. This is the male. He's huge. Like I said, he's bigger than my hand. He's about the size of a dinner plate when he's open. About 10 inches fin to fin. Super veil. And behind him, we have the gold Rio Negro. That's a cool looking fish. Very subdued turquoise color in there. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but right at the bottom of his dorsal fin, he has a good amount of blue. I can see it. I don't know how well it's coming up on video. Yeah, there you go. Right at the base of his dorsal fin, you can see the blue. And then he has the ghosting inside of his or her fins, which is pretty cool. So, but that's going to be pretty much it for tonight. Yes, credit card Windex, perfect. Easy way to apply vinyl. Like I said, know what you're getting before you get it. Be ready. Get meds. Have them in stock and on hand. Like I said, I'm going to talk to Andre about getting a kit put together, you know, with all the staple medicated flakes, you know, Metro, antibiotics, antibacterial, antifungal, stuff like that. So, you know, look for that, because I'm sure Andre would get on board with that pretty quick. Andre, if you're still listening, we got to talk about that. You know, just ask questions. You know, that's the biggest thing in this game, is nobody knows everything. You know, I've had fish for, God, 15, 20 years, over that. Sound's gone again. Can you hear me? This sound's getting, I'm going to have to do this on my laptop next week. I don't know why I try to do it on my phone. Be prepared. You know, it's like you're having a baby. You know, you're going to make sure you have diapers, wipes, stuff like that. Same thing with fish. Make sure you have food. Make sure you have your meds, all of your equipment, nets, stuff like that. So,
barely. Okay. Well, we're going to end it then. You know, I don't want to keep you guys too much longer. We're already at like an hour and 10 minutes. So, I want you guys' input on what you guys want to talk about next week. We're going to do it the same time. We'll do Friday at 7 next week. I'm probably going to do, you know what? I don't know what I'm going to do next week. Maybe we'll do, I don't know. We'll talk. We'll figure it out. We'll get there. I have a tank that I'm going to set up for you guys. We'll do that on YouTube. Actually, Kevin has a tank too. Kevin's going to get a video put together on Kevin Wittenberg. Too many Kevins, I know. He's going to get a video put together on YouTube from start to finish on setting up a 75-gallon community, picking out equipment and stuff like that. I'm going to do a video on shipping. I'm going to try and get with Andre on that, because we both ship things pretty much exactly the same, but he has a better area to do it in, you know, and he has different ways of doing it versus. Sound like you're talking into a cup a half a mile away. Can you hear me now? But as far as the shipping video goes, I'm going to try and get with Andre on that, like I said, because he does things a little bit different than I do, you know, so this way you can kind of get both perspectives and a couple different ways to do it. You know, we're both the same on a lot of things, but we do things a little bit different. So we have that coming in. We're going to do a saltwater video on YouTube. Not sure what we're going to do it of yet, but we're going to have a couple of those. We'll do a video on breeding and stuff like that. But as far as the live broadcast goes, I want to know what you guys want to talk about. Tonight, this is just kind of what the admins put together. So, you know, drop us a line. I'll put a post up, and you guys can do that. One thing I want to say is this is the best group, the best fish group by far, long and far, that I've been part of. I'm in a lot of fish groups. I'm in probably 40 of them. This group's awesome. There's so many knowledgeable people. There's no BS. There's no complaining. There's no putting people down. You know, my two favorite groups is this one and the Aquatic Grounds with Mr. Northfin himself, Jay Wilson. So we're right along the same lines in terms of how many members. So I'm willing to bet that, you know, most of the members from each of these groups is in one another. You know, so big shout out to Jay Wilson. No stocking mods. Yes, no stocking mods. But big shout out to Jay Wilson. Jay does some awesome things for this hobby. You know, as far as donations and learning and stuff like that goes. Not to mention he has Northfin food, like I said, which is top shelf. So big shout out to him. Andre Fritz, the man. If you guys haven't checked out his video that got posted today, go to his page and check it out. He gives you a tour of his entire fish room. And let me tell you, that fish room is on point. I thought I had a good fish room. This thing, it's like the Cadillac of fish rooms. Everything's automated. It's crazy. He doesn't have to do anything. He opens up valves, water changes itself. It's pretty. He is the man, yes. Andre Fritz. So guys, I'm going to leave you guys now. Check out BeantownAquatics.com. Don't forget, capital letters, Fish Freaks, and check out. Get your 10% off your dry goods and your tank-raised fish. Let us know what you want to hear. Signing off. Talk to you guys next week.